You know exactly what this feels like. You check your phone? Nothing. You put it down, pick it up again, put it down. And somewhere in that 3-second loop, you hate yourself a little. Not because you're pathetic, not because you have no self-respect, because your nervous system has been trained to mistake anxiety for love. And here's the part no one tells you. You didn't accidentally end up with the wrong people. You selected them, precisely, with the same unconscious accuracy you'd use to pick your childhood home. You chose them because they felt like home. Even when home was where you learned that love is something you earn, something you wait for, something that disappears without warning and comes back just often enough to keep you trying. And today we're going to trace it, all the way back to where it started, all the way to why your body keeps choosing chaos over calm, and what it takes to break it. In 1969, a developmental psychologist named Mary Ainsworth did something that would quietly reshape everything we understand about human relationships. She put toddlers in a room with their caregiver. Then she had the caregiver leave, and she filmed what happened. Most children cried when the caregiver left. That's normal, that's healthy, but some children, when the caregiver came back, they couldn't be comforted. They clung, they pushed away, they clung again. They were angry and desperate at the same time. Ainsworth called this anxious attachment, and the children who developed it had one thing in common. Their caregivers were inconsistent, not absent, not abusive, inconsistent, sometimes warm, sometimes distracted, sometimes present, sometimes emotionally unavailable. There was no reliable pattern, no predictable rhythm of comfort. So those children did the only logical thing their developing brains could do. They ramped up their attachment signals, they cried louder. They monitored their caregiver constantly. For signs of withdrawal, they became hypervigilant. Because in their nervous system's logic, if love is unpredictable, then the safest move is to never stop looking for it. That child grew up, their body forgot the original lesson, but the nervous system remembered every word. And now you're 32 years old, lying awake at 2 a.m., decoding the tone of a text message, like it's a nuclear launch code, because your body still believes that if you stop monitoring, something important will disappear. This isn't weakness, it's a wound wearing the costume of a personality trait. Here's where it gets dark. In 2005, researchers at Emory University scanned the brains of people experiencing uncertainty about reward, specifically whether they'd receive a payout. What they found was striking. Unpredictable rewards activated the dopamine system more powerfully than guaranteed rewards. Your brain on unpredictable love. It looks chemically identical to your brain on a slot machine. This is why the emotionally unavailable person across the bar feels more magnetic than the stable, warm, genuinely interested one standing right next to them. It's not superficiality. It's not bad taste. It's dopamine. It's your nervous system identifying the biochemical signature. It was trained to call attraction, and it gets more precise than that. Researchers Amir Levine and Rachel Heller, whose work built directly on Ainsworth, documented something they called the anxious avoidant trap. The anxiously attached person and the avoidant person find each other with uncanny reliability because the avoidant person, the one who pulls back when things get serious, who goes cold after intimacy, who needs space precisely when you need closeness, they produce exactly the intermittent reinforcement your nervous system was calibrated for: warm, then cold, present, then gone, interested, then distant. Ring any bells? Your attachment system is malfunctioning. It's running the exact program it was built to run. You pursue, they withdraw, you pursue harder, the anxiety rises. And rising anxiety, in your body, has always been the signal that this thing matters. That's the trap. You've confused the feeling of trying with the feeling of love. I'm not done, because there's a second mechanism here. And it's the one that actually breaks people. At some point, most people with anxious attachment meet someone secure. Someone who texts back, who says what they mean, who doesn't play games, who makes you feel calm, and you almost immediately lose interest. This is the cruelest part of the whole thing. Because you want stability, consciously, genuinely, desperately. But your nervous system has been running a different operating system since you were small, and to that system, calm doesn't feel like love. Calm feels like the absence of something. In a 2012 study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, researchers confirmed what many therapists had observed anecdotally, that anxiously attached individuals consistently rated secure partners as less attractive than their actual relationship quality with them warranted. Read that again. The secure person is objectively a better partner, and your nervous system still files them under not quite right, because right, in your body's vocabulary, has always meant activated, heart rate elevated, attention fully captured, never quite sure where you stand. Someone who simply likes you and shows it clearly creates no anxiety, no chase, no dopamine spike from uncertainty, and your nervous system, bored and unstimulated, whispers, "This isn't it." You're not incompatible with stable people, you're in withdrawal from instability. There's a concept in psychology called repetition compulsion. Freud named it, trauma researchers refined it, and it describes something almost unbearably human. We are unconsciously drawn to recreate the emotional dynamics of our earliest relationships, not because we want to suffer, but because our nervous system is still trying to solve the original problem, the caregiver who was sometimes warm and sometimes gone. You're still trying to win them back, still trying to be enough, still trying to finally, definitively, get the love to stick. Every emotionally unavailable person you've been consumed by, your nervous system looked at them and saw something familiar, something that activated the same circuitry. And then it said, this time we get it right. Bessel van der Kolk, whose research on trauma is some of the most important work of the last 50 years, writes that the body keeps returning to unresolved pain, not to punish us, but to complete it. Your pattern and self-destruction. It's an incomplete search, but here's what nobody tells you. The search will never complete. In that direction. You can't heal the wound from childhood by getting the avoidant person to finally love you consistently because they're not your parent. And this isn't 1994, and even if they gave you everything you needed, your nervous system would just move the goalposts, because the work isn't about them. So, what do you do with all of this? I'm not going to tell you to just choose better. That's like telling someone with a fever to just stop being hot. The research is clear on what actually moves the needle. First, name the pattern while it's happening, not after, during, when you feel that specific pull, that electric, anxious, lit-up sensation. Say it out loud or in your head. This is familiar. This is not necessarily safe. You're not suppressing attraction. You're inserting a circuit breaker between sensation and action. Second, tolerate the discomfort of security without labeling it as incompatibility. When someone treats you well and it feels flat, I'll sit in that. Don't run. Ask yourself, am I bored, or am I just not anxious? These feel identical at first. They are completely different things. Third, and this is the one that takes years and is worth every second of it. Grieve the original thing, not the last relationship, not the one before it, the first one, the one where you learned that love is inconsistent, where you learned that you have to earn it. Sit with a therapist, or in a journal, or in the honest part of yourself at 3 a.m., and grieve that child who had to become hypervigilant to survive. Because they did survive. You did. And the strategy that kept you emotionally alive back then, it's costing you everything now. This is slow work. I won't lie to you about that. The nervous system rewires through repetition of new experience, not through understanding alone. You'll understand this completely and still feel the pull toward the wrong person. That's not failure, that's the process. But every time you notice the pattern, every time you choose the discomfort of security over the familiar rush of anxiety, You're voting for a different version of yourself. If this hits something real in you, share it with someone who's still in the middle of it. They might not have words for it yet. And we'll see you in the next one.